And I pretty much answer it the exact same every time. Is I don't predict the future. Hey everybody, this is Dan Gjerseth. I am in my new office today. First of all, this is cool. We just moved to downtown Eau Claire. You can see right outside my window, there's, can you see that crane that's right there? Let's see if I can kind of focus it in. Maybe not. Well, you can see that I'm right down in the center of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and super excited to be down here because we've been kind of off the beaten path for 2 or 3 years now. And finally, we get to be in a centrally located office. And actually, you know what? Heck, I'm going to give you guys a quick tour. Why don't we take a look around my office quick? So yeah, here it is, my office. Not that you guys give a shit, but maybe somebody does. So we will show you around. Okay, you can see all my dog's toys on the floor. We're obviously not completely moved in yet. Here is Morgan's desk, our office admin. Our photographer's desk here. Walking down here, Catherine's office. Hello, Catherine. And then Devin's office down here, and any other agents who are on their team. Here is the view from downtown where our new office is. Love it here. We have coffee shops, we have little restaurants and bars, and everything you could possibly need within a 5-minute walk of our office now. So if you are looking to buy or sell a piece of real estate, probably looking to move here if you're watching this video, you're trying to figure out what the heck area from out of state. We have hundreds of people that call us every single year that are moving from out of state to Eau Claire area or surrounding places, and we love to work with you guys. We're one of the top real estate teams here in town that works with out of state buyers, and we love to work with you guys. So make sure if you were moving to this area, give me a shout, message me, comment on this YouTube video, send me a carrier pigeon or smoke signals, however you need to get a hold of me. Just get a hold of me somehow, and we'd love to chat with you guys, even if it's just kind of figuring out where the best parts of town are for you and see what we can do to help. Okay, cool. Now that we have that all set in place, and I'm sorry if you can hear my chair squeaking because I got the crappy chair today. I wasn't quick enough into the office today to grab one of the better chairs, so I guess I'm stuck with a squeaky chair for the day. But anyways, the question that I'm going to answer today is the real estate market going to crash in Eau Claire, Wisconsin? And I get that question all the time, really, from people who are moving to this area or first-time home buyers or people who are thinking about buying and selling a piece of real estate here in Eau Claire. And I pretty much answer it the exact same every time. Is I don't predict the future. If you could predict every crash ever in history, you would be higher than Warren Buffett. It's really impossible to necessarily predict a exact time when a market crash is going to happen. However, it does happen every about 10 to 12 years. One thing I do notice though are that people, when we talk about a market crash, people think of 2008 or the Great Depression, and market corrections is a better term I think we should have versus crash. Yeah, property prices have been inflating for a while now, but we also have to look at a couple different factors in here, and that is the supply and demand. Back in 2008 when the housing market crashed, we have to think about what caused that crash. And what caused that crash is that banks were literally handing out notes to people, or mortgages, to people who shouldn't have ever even been able to buy a property in the first place. What I mean by that, they would literally add an extra digit to extra zero onto people's incomes to qualify for them for a loan. There was nobody actually governing or holding the bankers accountable to the money that they were lending out to people, which means that they were incentivized to write these loans, and there was nobody from stopping them from writing an extra digit onto people's incomes. So they would literally hand out loans to people who sometimes didn't even have jobs. And you could probably get a loan for your cat or your dog back then. That's how easy it was to get a loan. And so when we think about that, yes, we forgot how that crash actually happened, and we always think of the crash itself, but we got to realize that there was a completely different time, and the reason why it crashed was an extreme reason. And yes, things are extreme right now too, but the whole economy doesn't have a foundation of bad notes that are out there. Yes, people are behind in their mortgages, and yes, we're probably gonna have foreclosures at some point here pick up. It's just the cycle of how real estate goes, up and down, up and down. I'm gonna share a graph with you guys later to show you guys the increase of value of real estate over time and show you exactly why I'm not freaking out. And I'm in real estate. I have investors I work with. I'm an investor myself. I'm in real estate, so it really affects me directly. Just like it affects you guys if you're going to look at buying a house. But here's the reason why I'm not freaking out, and I'm still buying properties even though this market is the way it is. And actually, right in the middle, before this clip I recorded, I just got a phone call from somebody looking to buy their property, and I'm going to look at it in about 45 minutes here. So yes, I'm still buying in this market, and I'll explain why throughout this video, why I'm not worrying too much about it. But yeah, let's hop into a couple of the reasons why. The past couple of years, since the beginning of 2020, the government has been putting a lot of money out there as incentives for people to continue to spend money and keep the economy moving forward. I know there's PPP for businesses that were able to get funding for financial hardship that they had when basically their customer supplies were cut completely clean. Couldn't even get a customer in your front door. Everybody is on quarantine in this area. So there's been a lot of money that's been injected into the economy that has kept the real estate market and pretty much the whole economy just going forward full force. What happens when you put a lot of money into the economy? Well, the money it's worth less. So that's why we feel like prices are going up, which they are. Prices are going up, but reality is actually the value of the dollar has been going down. That's what's really happening. That's what inflation is. So yes, we've had some inflationary rates. I don't know the exact numbers, but I've heard between 10 to 15% of inflation in the past 2 years, which makes sense why when we go to the grocery store, our grocery bills are 30, 40% higher than what they were 2 years ago. And same thing with real estate. They've been going up by 15, 20% in the past few years. That's why. And incomes have been lagging behind, so incomes haven't necessarily been keeping up with the cost of goods, but they will at some point catch back up. It's just a matter of time. Another thing that's affecting the real estate market is that building supplies are really, really hard to get. The whole supply chain throughout the entire world, on almost every single platform you can think of, has just been lagging behind. So it's hard to get supplies. Low supply equals high demand equals high prices. It's just simple economics. So if it's harder to get the supplies to build a house, it takes longer to build a house. It's just naturally we have a recipe for higher prices there. Well, guess what? Higher prices for a new build. People who would normally build their house are actually looking at, instead of building, they're going to buying. Well, guess what? Now there's more people looking to buying resale houses or houses that have been already lived in before instead of building new, which further increases the competitiveness basically that people have when they go to buy a house. And the last thing that has been keeping real estate prices extremely inflating at a high level is the fact that federal government has kept our interest rates super low over the past few years to basically incubate or continue businesses moving forward, even though because interest rates were at like less than 3% a while back, and now they're actually up over around 5% now. So just now the federal government has been raising interest rates, and that's their goal or their strategy. Why they're doing that is to actually slow down inflation, to actually slow things down, because we're trudging so fast forward and prices are going so quickly up, or up so quickly. My bad, my words are getting caught up on my tongue. And that they have to do something, and the best way that they can do that is by increasing interest rates so prices come back down. It's just a thing that they do. With that being said, every time the federal government has done that over the past few years, throughout history, it has pushed the economy into a recession, which is necessarily, I don't know, I guess recessions aren't necessarily a fun word to use, but they're also a necessary part of the up and down cycle of the economy, The world, you're never going to have a world without recessions. It's just like when you're really busy one day, you're really tired the next day, you have kind of a more slow day. It's just like the life cycle, essentially. And now I'm going to go into the reason why I think that Eau Claire, Wisconsin is not going to have a major market correction. Back in 2008, even if you want to look at the numbers and compare statistics to other places around the country, Eau Claire is one of the best places to own a house, and for a hedge against a market crash or inflation. Why is that? Guess what? Eau Claire has pretty much no tourism. And guess what's one of the first things that happens when a market corrects or crashes? Tourism stops, and it's pretty quiet. And the Eau Claire economy is heavily based around manufacturing, healthcare, and service-based businesses. So what does that mean? In a down economy or recession, all those sectors are still moving forward. It's not like we are super heavily based on people coming here and traveling and spending extra money, essentially, to fuel our economy. There's always going to be places that are going to be hiring around here, and there's a very, very good job market. It's not like a coastal region, and typically when a recession happens, recessions start out on the outer states, the east and west coast, and work their way in. And the Midwest is actually one of the more safer places to be during a recession. So that's why I like that. Another reason why I don't think the real estate market's going to crash like everybody thinks it's going to happen is because we have to think about the people who are buying houses right now. From my perspective, I'm a listing agent, so I work with we help hundreds of people buy and sell houses every single year. So we know the ins and outs of how people are getting financed. And as I said before, it used to be people getting extra digits added onto their income to be able to buy a house. These days, that's not a thing. You can't do that. That would be fraud. You'd get arrested for that. The lender would too. They wouldn't risk their job to make a sale or whatever it is. So nowadays, right now, think about this. When there's 10 offers on a house, if you guys have talked to other people buying a house or selling a house, you know that there's multiple offers on a house. They pick the best one, right? They're not picking the one that has super low down payment. They're not picking the person that has a very, very bad loan type. They're picking the cream of the crop offer that probably is either cash or they have like $50,000 or $60,000 down. And so what does that mean? They're paying a high premium for this piece of real estate, which may be the new norm in the real estate world. Instead of thinking that real estate prices are so high, this might be just how real estate is done now. This might be just the cost of real estate from now on. And I'm going to show you a graph in here in a little bit. Fact is that never ever in history, in US history, if you look back 10 years prior to today, has property prices ever been worth less? How did I say that? Let me think about this. Never ever in the history of the USA let's say you bought a property today and fast forward 10 years down the road, has that property 10 years down the road ever been worth less than what it is today? What does that mean? So if you're buying a property for long term, you have to think about the reasons why you're buying. Are you buying this to save money, or are you buying, in most of the time, yes, because guess what? Interest rates on a piece of property that you're renting is 100%. That money's going towards a landlord. It's going towards somebody else. I'd rather put money in my own pocket every month than pay a landlord. No matter what, if we're heading into a recession, or if we're in a bubble, or this or that, I'd rather put money back into my pocket every month by paying off my mortgage. So I wanted to share with you guys this historical data sheet here of what real estate prices have been doing over the past looks to me like 50 years. And it shows that, back in 1965, property prices were averaging about 20,000. Wow, that's crazy. You can see here back in 2008, that property prices dipped way down for several years, and it took a while for it to come back. As you can see, it's spiked up quick here. And now, beginning of 2020, all that extra money went into the economy to basically keep businesses moving forward during the pandemic. And you can see prices are at this peak again. Does this mean that the property or the market's going to come crashing down right away? Not necessarily. Actually, a lot of the statistics show that that there's not necessarily a crash in their near future. And And how am I coming up with this? Well, there's a couple things. Supply and demand. Back in 2008, when this happened, first of all, we had all the crazy lending tactics that were being done. Number two was that there was already a huge supply of real estate. And so there was already a ton of properties on the market. Right now, the reason why this is being spiked up and why you guys just saw in that graph, why the property price has been going like this, is because supply and demand. It's a whole different, basically a whole different hand of cards we're being played right now. It's never been seen before. So market does slow down. Like the feds are raising interest rates in order to actually slow down the buying and the inflation that's happening, which was going to level out how purchasing and how the price of property has been going up so quickly. Sorry, I'm bumbling over my words. But basically with that, what's going to happen is it is going to slow down. We're going to get more properties on the market, and there are going to be some foreclosures. Does that necessarily mean that we're all that we should run around like Chicken Little and say the sky's falling? No, it doesn't. It's just part of the normal cycle. We're probably gonna, if you're my age, you're gonna go through 5 or 6 of these different market corrections throughout my lifetime. And many people have been through a bunch of different recessions in their lifetime. It doesn't mean the world's ending. It doesn't mean you shouldn't necessarily buy a house. It just means you have to think more thoroughly on it and think a little bit more harder about it. So yeah, if you guys are in that process, feel free to reach out to us. We love to work with people who are buying properties in the area. And if you are moving to this area, we'd love to chat with you. We love Eau Claire. This whole explanation is why we're still buying real estate, because I'm looking at it as a long-term investment rather than a short-term investment. Also, I know that recessions happen. It's not something that we should be surprised by. But anyways, yeah, hopefully you guys get value from this video and comment what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And yeah, we'll go from there. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. See ya.